Hello, I'm Alfred Lamont Weber, and we're starting this program now because it's time to start the program. And I had a remarkable insight uh, with my use of C60 Evo, ESS60. And I found that a daily use of 1 teaspoon of C60evo.com. Welcome, Chris. We actually started because it was 2:30 and we wanted to start on time. But welcome. We've been joined by Chris Burrows, the CEO of C60evo.com and the founder and the chief scientist. Welcome, Chris. Yeah, I'm not getting your sound, and I just wonder. I'm just wondering how to do that. I don't know that I can edit your mic volumes for you, but I'm not getting any sound for you. I'm not sure why, but
how about now?
Oh yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, well, welcome, Chris. Tell me what's been going on in your world, in the world of C60 Evo over the last 30 days.
Well, yeah, and first, just to address, you mentioned in the intro that I'm the CEO. Actually, Patty is the CEO.
Right. I actually misspoke, and Patty Greer, who usually joins us, could not make it today, but we're with the chief scientist and the founder, I guess.
Yeah, one of the co-founders. Yeah.
Well, one of the co-founders, Chris Burrows. So
yeah, I'm so glad to be here, Alfred. It's great to connect with you and your audience, and to share kind of what's going on with this amazing product. I mean, really, it's an amazing molecule that's kind of turned into a product. As some of your listeners may recall, I didn't really want to be in the supplement industry. It's not something that I ever chose to do. It is certainly something that seems to have chosen me instead, and just trying to be a good steward of carrying this forward and sharing really all the benefits that I see, that my wife sees, that the people on our team here in Houston see, that Patty sees, that you see, and carry those into other people. And it's great. I've actually got a couple reviews. We'll talk about those at some point.
Nice.
But Happy New Year to you. And how was your New Year celebration?
Yeah, well, I think that 2022 has actually started off well, and that we're on an upward curve, and that it's going to be a good year. That's my personal experience, and
yeah.
I wish everybody the same, but that we're moving again with good energy.
Yeah, I think 2022 is going to be great. I think it probably couldn't be much worse than 2021 nor 2020. So it's got to be onward and upward from here. And so it's great to again just to connect with you and your audience, and certainly wish everybody a great new year for 2022 coming ahead.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. One of the points, because I came across this kind of long testimonial advertorial by the former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Ben Carson. Mm-hmm. And he was looking at a brain supplement that supposedly increased IQ and mental acuity and mental sharpness.
Yeah, and he's out of Houston, right? I think Ben Carson's out of Houston.
Yeah, could be. And I was reading that, and I said, these are the similar benefits that subjectively, I just want to say subjectively, I personally have experienced over the time that I've been taking C60 Evo, and that is an increase in mental focus, and very much markedly so. And I noticed that Dr. Ben Carson, in his editorial, which he basically says that thing over and over again for a whole page, but he says, my statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and this is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure, or prevent any illness or disease. So, but it just occurred to me, if you could share with us, Chris, because you're familiar with all these, the background, and you mentioned reviews, and we've talked about the different aspects and changes. But do you recall mental, just specific feedback or input or tests on C60 and mental focus? Or we could even call it intelligent quotient. What they say is IQ, which is just your mental focus and your ability to answer questions on a test. But tell me.
Yeah. So, I do like to have a clarification with the audience, and this is really about if your audience is engaged with what we're talking about and is interested in trying the product. It's really important to me for their safety to be talking about ESS60, right?
Right.
Now, C60, let's talk about that briefly, is I'm holding up this molecule. If anybody's just listening, you can imagine a soccer ball where the lines on the soccer ball represent the bonds between the carbon atoms. So it's a spherical molecule of 60 carbon atoms. This molecule was discovered in 1985. And then those three scientists who discovered it, actually here in Houston, went on to win the Nobel Prize in 1996. So a short 11 years from discovery to actually being awarded the Nobel Prize. This is the molecule that we're discussing today. And in its industrial form, absolutely, C60. When you start talking about something that you might want to consume, something that you might want to put in your body, then ESS60 is what you want to talk about. That's really C60 that's been purified and processed to be safer for human consumption. So we want to make sure that we're making that distinction. And really just a little bit of background on that. We looked at there is a C60 market. You can go buy C60. Again, I would call that industrial grade C60. And we looked at the quality of those products, and they were severely lacking in terms of concentration. And so we wanted to provide some way to help the consumer make sure they're getting a high quality product, and one that's not an industrial grade product. And that's what the kind of the purpose of ESS60 is, to help give clarity to the audience. When you talk about mental clarity, so our most consistent testimonials, people take the C60 Evo formula in the morning. They report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. In fact, I know that I missed a dose today, actually a serving today, because I'm a little bit yawny. Like I feel like I need a cup of coffee or something. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take another 5 mils. There we go. Now, this is mostly olive oil, so it tastes tastes exactly like olive oil. It's got as much of this ESS60 molecule as can be dissolved in it. That turns out in olive oil to be about 0.8 milligrams per milliliter. And again, most consistent testimonial, take it in the morning, mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. I'm not aware of anything that you could take in the morning and would give you a positive impact on your sleep that night. I am aware of 2 activities. One of them would be to exercise. So if you were to just wake up in the morning and exercise as opposed to not exercising, that would positively impact your sleep that evening. The other is to wake up and get some exposure to sunlight. and that would get your circadian rhythm in line with the rising and setting of the sun. And that would put you in a good place to actually positively impact your sleep. Other than that, most of it, and they're not even supplements, well, there are some supplements. You've got melatonin, which is actually a hormone. You've got valerian, which I would actually very much recommend if you're struggling with sleep and your brain is racing as you're going to bed. Well, one, try our product. I think that'll have a positive impact. But two, valerian root has the ability to quiet your mind, which can allow you to go to sleep. Sometimes the quiet mind is not enough for some, but valerian root is an option, and I certainly recommend that. Most of the things that doctors will get involved with in terms of helping you get sleep are prescription drugs. They're actually narcotics, and there's a book called Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker that talks about this $2 billion industry of just basically, it's like sleep hammers, right? So if somebody were to whack you in the head with a hammer and you were unconscious for 8 hours, when you woke up, you would not be thinking, your brain would not be in the mind of, oh, I just had a good night's rest because I was unconscious for 8 hours. Like that's how these drugs, at least that's how Dr. Matthew Walker paints these drugs as working. Yes, they, in fact, very specifically what they do is there's a chemical in our body called adenosine. And adenosine, as it builds up in our body throughout the day, it causes us to be sleepy. When we go to sleep, that adenosine pressure, chemical pressure, is relaxed. Well, these sleep aids will relax the chemical pressure of adenosine. So you wake up without the desire for sleep, but they do inhibit your ability to get your REM and your NREM sleep, which is so, like, that's the purpose of sleep, is to get REM and NREM sleep. It's not just to wake up and have your adenosine chemical pressure relieved. It's actually to get that restorative and healing sleep. I wish desperately that I had gotten my father off of sleep aids while he was still here, while he was still with us, because I think that had a very detrimental impact on his health in his kind of latter year. So yeah, if you want to talk about a mental acuity, I can, just like now, I just took another serving because I was feeling yawny. I was feeling, and this was very true in the early days, where I didn't have it as part of my routine. So today's been kind of a taxing day. I've used a lot of mental power, and so I come out of that and I need like a boost, and that's why I just took that serving now. In the early days, when it wasn't part of my routine, if I got to the afternoon and was feeling yawny or felt like I needed a nap or needed another cup of coffee, I could always look back and realize that I hadn't had my C60 Evo that morning. And so that's where I see it. Now we can talk about, I think we go to another level where we can actually talk about a potential emotional impact. And I very specifically say potential because, again, the FDA has not evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. I've got one testimonial video. It's a pretty amazing video. It's a lady out of England, and she's talking at the beginning of her video. So I sent her some products so that I could get this testimonial video. And the first part of her video, she says, well, I have to be forthcoming and admit that I'm in the middle of quitting smoking. I don't know, Alfred, if you ever smoked or if you ever quit smoking. My parents smoked. They quit smoking a number of times. There's the old joke, quitting is easy. It's not starting again. That's actually hard. My parents fell in that, and at my mom hasn't smoked in years. My dad didn't smoke, probably 10, 15 years before he passed. If you've been around people who've quit smoking, then you know that it's not a pleasant experience at best. And so had I known she was in the middle of quitting smoking, I probably wouldn't have sent her product in the process of getting a testimonial, because you can pretty much guarantee that any testimonial for any supplement that you're going to get while you're quitting smoking is going to be negative. And it actually turned out the opposite. she gave a glowing testimonial about it. And one of the things she said was that with her child, and this is her phrase, I have a longer fuse with my son, right? So she's got a toddler as a son, and she said that she had a longer fuse with him. Like, that's about kind of the mental capacity, the emotional capacity to process information and have that longer fuse. So I think, yeah, we've got a number of testimonials that talk about that mental focus and that mental acuity. And I think your example is great too. Maybe you want to share kind of what you've noticed.
Well, yeah. What got me thinking about it was reading through this lengthy testimonial by the former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Ben Carson, and he was talking about a brain IQ supplement, but describing it in the same way that I think about the effect that ESS60 C60 Evo has on me. And that is, it increases my mental focus. And but in a very marked way, in the sense that I'm taking on a lot of tasks that I would have not thought. I'm this season, just this month, I'm having 2 new books coming out. I'm producing 2 professional websites that are coming out. I'm in the process right now. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. I have interviewed, and set up interviewed for 10 information technology IT interns that are going to come and maintain and run the websites. And so I'm juggling so many things that I wouldn't have been able to juggle before. And if I have to if I have to look at something that I truly believe has given me this additional capacity, it would be C60 Evo ESS60, which I consider to be a brain booster, a superfood brain supplement that increases IQ, memory, and focus for rapid self-improvement. Now, and it was funny because reading that page-long, sort of essay almost on how the former Secretary of HUD and then all of these personalities in the former presidential administration in which Dr. Ben Carson served are on this now, and boy, you better get it. And how they're all, I said, well, that's exactly what's happening to me. And so that functionally, I think that the same thing is happening. Now, I don't have the scientific grasp that you have for how this biologically works. So I don't know whether it's the antioxidant effect, that there's more oxygen going through my brain, and through all the blood vessels. Is that what does it? I believe that this should be studied. What is it exactly? I'm experiencing an effect that I subjectively can talk about, but not only that, I can point to a work record that has substantially increased with visible work products. And so I'm just wondering from a scientific standpoint. And so what I'm saying to people out there who are listening is that, look, this is 2022 in a way, because we've had the economic slowdown, we've had the supply chain problems, we've had et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You really got to get out there and put extra hustle. And so what I'm saying is that one way to do that easily is to go to C60 Evo, and I'm just going to put my if I can find it here, I had put it there before, but I guess it got let me see if I can bring it up again, just to say, maybe in a little while if I can get this thing moving that way. Here, I'll put this up like that, and you can go to this link there, and then you can enter that code, and you'll get a 10% discount. Plus, if you do a subscription, you'll get a 30% discount. And so, and coming in to the entry level, the entry level bottle in olive oil of ESS60 at the 1 teaspoon a day, I think that you might be able to get it in at about $75 to $80 a month. I'm not sure, but you'll have to correct me. So if you compare that to any other, I mean, the return on investment that you're getting in terms of, okay, let me see, let me spend $80 and, go to this particular link here, use that code, go in and then get the subscription and start on this. I think that's something that people who really want to, get out of what's been happening over the last couple of years and get themselves restarted and reignited, that's a way to do it. Anyway, that's sort of my stream of consciousness here. I don't know if you want to correct me or maybe add to it or whatever.
Well, I think it's a good time to, one of the testimonials that I got, one feature of it is that I get to brag on our customer service, right? So a lot of people, when they hear about a supplement, they're, worried like, is this a legitimate organization? Obviously, we're on your show. We are. We also have a lot of Google reviews, and so I'm reading one of those Google reviews, and this is from a K Hillman. It says, "Got the best customer service from Jesse at C60 Evo. Thank you for the time you spent with me to help me figure out what size bottle I need and how often, and getting everything shipped out same day." The reason she asked how often is because you do get that 20% savings by going on subscription. If you're interested in just trying this, make sure you go on subscription. You can cancel at any time. And again, our 5-star reviews will kind of confirm that the staff is not trained to talk you out of a subscription. Just go ahead and take advantage of that subscription. The product itself is awesome. After taking it consistently over about 3 weeks, I noticed my energy level went up, my back pain diminished, and the pain throughout my body went down, and my sleep was really improved. Now, that's talking about pain. That's very specific. Again, the FDA has not evaluated our product. It's not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. So this is one anecdotal reaction. I've tried many natural products throughout my life, and this one is by far the most significant improvement, and it's done wonders for my 4-year-old, 22-pound dog as well. I give him a 1/4 teaspoon in his breakfast every day, and he has more energy and is more playful. Can't recommend this brand, C60 Evo, enough. And one of the things that I absolutely love about pet testimonials, so we're talking about energy and playful, is dogs and cats or whatever pet you're giving the product to are not subject to the placebo effect, right? They don't go, oh, I got my 1/4 teaspoon in my breakfast this morning, so I'm going to be more playful and more energetic. Either they feel more playful and energetic or they don't. And, she's noticing that when she gives the 1/4 teaspoon, there is more energy and there is more playfulness. So love that testimonial. And I think this is, really kind of typical of the testimonials that we get for our product.
Yeah. And so I know that, I don't know, for me, this is a real breakthrough. I know that I'm speaking on behalf of C60 Evo ESS60 now, but even if I put on my hat as a policy analyst and as a person with a certificate from the Harvard School of Public Health, I would recommend this too. If I were lecturing at the Harvard School of Public Health, I would put out all sorts of research grants to test this from a public health point of view. And I would hardly recommend this because I think that you're increasing the human capacity here, and it is a superfood. And, as I said, me and Buckminster Fuller go way back. So anyway, I do have my biases.
That is definitely a cool piece of the story. There's a comment on YouTube. Would this be safe for younger people? I have a 14 and 17-year-old. I'm always on the prowl for a nootropic. As with anything new, and this is very new, very cutting edge, studying it in children, studying it in women who are pregnant, has not been done. And just because, not that there isn't any data, and on occasion I have given it to my children, but you certainly can't recommend that. The recommendation is no, just because of the formative years and that nature, and that research hasn't been done. I'm looking forward to the day when that research is done and we can recommend it, but that's not where we're at now.
Right. So, coming into 2022, I know that we went through a lot in 2020, we went through a lot in 2021, and we looked at ESS60 from different points of view, even looking at it from a clinical point of view, of course, skirting all of the FDA issues. But now I think you're just basically looking at human capacity and building your own capacity to perform and function in a very challenging environment, but also just to get the most out of your own life. I mean, really to perform well, to create, whatever your work is, to really get the most out of what you're doing and get the best ideas coming out. That's kind of what I found. I have sort of the best ideas coming out, that I can think of. And the feedback I'm getting is that I'm mainly on point. I'm not kind of like just blowing my horn.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. One of the things I do like to share is if what is the genesis of all that, right? Of all of this supplement, and why people are taking it and reporting amazing stuff. We've already talked about the molecule, right? The ESS60 molecule. In 2012, they published the results of a study on this molecule, and this is peer-reviewed, published research, the kind of study that you want to hang your hat on when you're thinking about, consuming something. And in that study, they actually thought, for various reasons, that this molecule would be toxic. So it was it was technically a toxicity study. In that study, they gave rats water, rats olive oil, and then rats olive oil with the ESS60 molecule. Instead of being toxic, those rats that they gave really the C60 Evo formula to lived 90% longer than the control group, right? That's the single longest longevity experimental results in human history. A typical Wistar rats, that's the rats that they used in this study, lives about 32 months and has a known amount of tumors in their body. The longer they live, the more tumors they have in their body. Even though the C60 Evo rats lived out to 62 months, again, 90% longer than the control group, none of them had any tumors. So there's two kind of artifacts of this study that are pretty amazing, pretty phenomenal. Now, when some people hear there were no tumors, a lot of people are like, oh, anti-cancer. No, that's not what we're saying. It's very important to be specific here. One, it's tumors, not necessarily cancer. Two, there's a big difference between treating a cancer that has metastasized and actually being a cancer preventative. We know things as simple as good exercise, good nutrition, good sleep are cancer preventatives. And so the implication here is not that it's even a cancer preventative, but it did have some preventative effects on tumors. And so that's pretty powerful. Now, I do have some very anecdotal testimonials that kind of support that original line of thinking. But again, those are anecdotal, and there's a lot more research to be done. There's actually one particular horse in the Middle East that I'm going to go visit in February, and this horse was diagnosed with a cancer and was supposed to be was supposed to die. The veterinarians were ready to put it down. The owner decided to only treat it with the C60 Evo formula, and that was more than a year ago. And I think the projected lifespan. In fact, I met at a different event with a veterinarian. I was like, "Hey, I have some pictures of a horse's hindquarters. Like, it's not very attractive pictures over a beer." But he's a veterinarian, so I showed him to him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's a particular type of melanoma that happens on white-haired horses, and that horse is dead. Like, that's just what happens." But in this case, it's more than a year later, and that horse is not dead. So some pretty profound results. Again, in no way making cancer claims here. I think that's a disservice, just sharing a story, an anecdotal story.
Right. Well, this is such a fast-paced message that we're giving to people. I know that we're past the 30-minute mark, and I think that's about the optimal time that people have to retain this, because we leave them with the links. We leave you with the links and with our code. But do you have specific messages that you'd like to leave?
Well, I think we've covered it, but just to reiterate, let me read this one last testimonial, and then I'll talk about what happens when they land on the page on your link, which is c60evo.com/AlfredLW. This is from Angela Foster. Again, this is a Google review. You can go check this out. The product has worked wonders for myself and family members. We have experienced more restful sleep, more energy during the day. The serum has worked wonders for my skin. It is my new go-to product. I've been taking them for about a month now, and I don't want to be without them. Thanks to the team at C60 Evo, one satisfied customer. And that just brings, I wanted to bring that up because we do have a face serum. It's getting phenomenal reviews as well. When you go to that website, c60evo.com/AlfredLW, you're going to see products. We recommend the Inside and Out bundle that gets the face serum, which is the outside. I use it on the back of my hands. I've got some age spots and on my face. And then the inside, of course, is the consumable olive oil product. Recommend you do that. Also recommend that you get it on subscription, because on subscription you get about a 20% discount. Again, you can cancel at any time. Just send an email. Our staff is not trained to talk you out of canceling your subscription. They're trained to support you and what you want to accomplish, and you can see that in our 5-star Google reviews. And then, of course, use the code. It's on the screen now, EVALW. Use that code for an additional 10% off. And enjoy the product.
And I don't know. I mean, when I'm so excited about it, because it has opened up new portals for me. I mean, I did not think that at this stage in my life I would have so much new that is happening out there. New books, new websites, new kind of legal tribunals and things. It just is a whole, outreach that I'm able to do and impact the world in a very positive way. That I never thought I would be able to do. And so I really, those people who are listening and who have been following me, and I know that there, many people who follow our channel, I'm saying, this is really something you want to look at. It's not like the other stuff that you say. That anyway, that's just my testimonial, but there you have it.
Yeah, well, the recommendation that we get, and most of our customers, when they're calling in or making adjustments, they're actually asking for an additional bottle, just like in one of the testimonials, either for their pet or for a loved one. So yeah, there's about 47% of our customers have been with us for about 22 months. And that's pretty impressive. Almost 2 years.
Right. Well, again, people can look at this link there on the page, or go to c60evo.com and use the code EVALW, and away we go. So it's a great pleasure to have you here, and I hope that when we meet again next month, that Patty can join us, because she always has her unique perspective, and it's great.
Yeah, I think we definitely missed her today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfred, for having me.
Yeah, and please don't go away so we can plan that date. Good enough.